What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of 92.3 Preps. I'm your host, Jackson Schneider, and our fall preview series continues with this week's show. Another great interview with a high school football head coach in our area, and our first media member guest as well. So lots to be excited about on our show today as we get closer and closer to the fall sports season. It's officially the month of August, which means we're about a month away from the season officially getting here. Practices get underway in a little less than 2 weeks for fall sports, and I know everybody's getting ready for back to school and all that, but I'm getting excited. I'm very, very happy that every day we just get a little bit closer to fall sports, to high school football, and obviously we're leaning heavy into that this year. That's one of my passions is the high school football specifically. So we're going to talk with several coaches from different programs around our area over the next couple of weeks and just get to know them a little bit better and kind of see where they're at, kind of some pulse checks, some state of the program kind of things. But I find that there's a lot of great media in our area, a lot of sports writers, radio personalities, people like us that cover high school sports very closely and follow it just as closely, if not more so, than we have in the past. And so got to bring on some great guests and add to what I know with what they know, obviously, and, kind of pick their brains, especially today's guests. But Chuck Chaney of the Butler County Times-Gazette is going to join us, our first media member joining the program. And Chuck is a wealth of knowledge about the 10 Butler County football high schools and all the other sports within those programs. He also covers the Butler Grizzlies very closely. So a lot of great information from him. We'll talk, obviously, primarily high school football. But a little bit about the Grizzlies, and he's a big Oklahoma City Thunder fan, so I got to get a temperature check there as well, of course, because why not, right? Something he loves, and love asking guys about their teams and stuff like that. But he's going to tell us a ton about players to look out for, teams to look out for this year, and what to be super excited for heading into the fall of 2026. And then again, another football coach going to be joining us in a great guy in Reece, head football coach of the Rose Hill Rockets. They jumped up and had a great season a year ago, one of their best years in I think about the last 5 years or so. And it was just his first season as head coach. So he's still got the foundation that he's building, getting better and better and building off of last year. So we'll get to talk to him about his squad and everything that they've been doing at Rose Hill. If you've missed any of our shows recently, some really good interviews with other high school coaches. We talked with Dawson Elliott of Augusta and Derek Tuttle of Andover Central on last week's show. And of course, you can tune into those on our ESPN Wichita YouTube if you want to see my ugly face on the camera, or you can tune in to our podcast page on espnwichita.com or on the ESPN Wichita app. And of course, we are on Spotify as well. So lots and lots of places to tune into our show. I would love to have you like and subscribe to all our pages. You don't get anything super special out of that other than making it easier to find our shows, and it does great things to help us continue to grow. I've been super pleased with the reception. Really appreciate all of you who tune in each week to hear what these coaches have to say, each of you in your own individual pockets of our big Wichita area community. Some of these episodes have really blown up with the reception for each particular school. But I know there's a lot of you that love talking high school sports or listening to me talk high school sports. And so really, really appreciate those of you tuning in. And again, if you haven't, followed or subscribed to any of our stuff, go and do that so that you get a little notification every time we release an episode. We're getting into a really good rhythm of Friday releases with this show. And I don't know exactly if that will continue on Fridays or if we'll shoot for Thursdays, maybe once we get into the actual fall season. But I'm excited to get more in depth on the teams that we talk about and the activities going on and, game results and what teams are looking good, and got some interesting things that I want to do. I want to do some Q&A things as well. If you follow a team, or if you've watched some games, or if you've seen players sticking out as well, pose me a question. Send me a little mailbag. You can leave a comment on our YouTube page. You can tweet at me at JetcastJackson is my Twitter. And you can leave us a question to be answered on a future episode about your team, or about an individual player, or anything that really piques your mind about high school sports in our Wichita area. I want you to be involved in this show as much as I am involved in this show. I want your input. Tell me, what do you want me to talk about? What do you want me to discuss? Was there a big play or anything crazy in a previous game? So these are all sorts of things that you can send my direction and give me fuel to add to this fire, and really build up this show in the future, because we're going to be talking a lot more in depth about games, and I'm going to get some opinions out there as well as the season really gets going. We'll do some preseason picks and things like that, teams to watch out for type episodes, in addition to our interviews that we've done primarily through the main, early stages of this podcast. So it's going to get a lot more in depth and a lot more fun, especially if you, our listeners, continue to get involved. But enough of me right now rambling. But again, great show today. We've got, again, Reece coming up, head football coach of the Rose Hill Rockets. And again, my good buddy, Chuck Chaney of the Butler County Times Gazette. Appreciate them for joining us as always. And again, our show is brought to you by our good friends at Advanced Orthopedics Associates and AOA Now. Always appreciate them hopping on. Also, new sponsor alert coming in very, very soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Always appreciate our local sponsors for hopping on and helping us produce this show and give us the tools that we need to be successful. And again, if you want to be attached to this show or anything we do at ESPN Wichita, reach out to us. Call us, text us, send me an email, Schneider at espnwichita.com. You can talk to me, and we will get you built up to help grow your business just as much as you'd be submitting yourself to our shows. You'd be a member of our show and our team and our family, but we want to help you succeed as a local business, because it's all about local here at ESPN Wichita. So again, all of you who want to be involved in that, hit us up. We're growing in a big way here at ESPN Wichita, and we want to invite you to be a big part of that. But again, enough of me talking and rambling. Let's get to our first break. When we come back, we'll visit with the head coach of the Rose Hill Rockets in Reece. That is coming up next here on ESPN Wichita's 92.3 Preps.
I'm always telling him to shake it off, but sometimes we need professional care. Ow! Thankfully, I know just the place.
AOA Now is your premier orthopedic immediate care for when you need it most. Our expert team specializes in breaks, sprains, and strains. With our new state-of-the-art facility, we'll have you back in action in no time. Visit AOA Now on web and K96 today for fast, specialized orthopedic care where we keep Kansas in motion.
Welcome back here on 92.3 Preps. Jackson Schneider, pleased to be joined now by Reece, head football coach of the Rose Hill Rockets. Coach, continuing our fall football previews right now, and I know the calendar just flipped to August, but means the season's about a month away right now. How excited are you for year 2 down in Rose Hill?
Yeah, very excited. Like you said, it's that time of year, so the anticipation's been building. We have this week off. So just getting everything prepped and ready for first day of practice on August 17th.
Yeah, so what, two weeks away from that pretty much, and exciting time for your guys. I know last year being year 1, you're trying to set the foundations and kind of build the right culture in your program. But with that, 6-4 season, a really solid year and a great starting point for your program. It's the most wins for the Rockets in, I think, 5 years. So really successful starting point. Take me back to year 1 and just kind of how you built the foundation within your program.
Yeah, I mean, we had a talented group of seniors last year, and then along with the 2B seniors this year, they were juniors last year, and they're very talented too. So we just tried to put the puzzle pieces together, and we talk a lot about being a process-oriented football program and doing things the right way, and that was kind of our foundation. And a lot of the guys were able to buy in last year, and I think that's why we had such a successful season in our eyes. There's still a little bit more I think we could have got out of the season last year, but you know how that is. Your first year, you got to get everyone to completely buy in. That's hard, especially last year's group of seniors. It was their third head coach. So all those things go into play when you're trying to have a successful season and win football games and go about doing it the right way. But yeah, it was a good start last year to what is hopefully a string of successful years to come here.
And then building off of that, obviously the off season, the summer is a very important time to improve and get better. And especially that jump from year one to year two, I feel like it's an ultra important summer to have, and continue building that buy-in and continue getting your guys bigger, faster, stronger, all those things. How do you feel like the summer went, and just kind of walk us through the process there over the summer months?
Well, one of the things about being at a smaller school is you have kids who do multiple sports. So we had a lot of kids and athletes that were busy this summer. So our attendance one day might have been 20 some athletes, and the next day it might have been 40. And most of those kids are off doing baseball or basketball or wrestling. A lot of them even have personal trainers, and they train with them on the side as well too. So that's what we're trying to adapt to now. I think a lot of high school coaches are in that boat too. We're trying to adapt to figuring out the environment that we're in, where all these things are going on, all these baseball tournaments, basketball tournaments, all these things going on. So main thing is we just want the kids busy. We want them doing things athletically. We don't want them just in front of a TV playing video games all summer. And we know our guys were active this summer, and we had a lot of them show up. We had a really good camp at May South at the beginning of the summer, where there was a bunch of teams that went there, and then we also went to a Goddard camp at the end of summer, and both of those were really successful. And we got an idea of what we can do this year offensively and defensively.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned you had kids doing a lot of different things, because I feel like anymore there's a lot of sports specialization going on where kids are in one sport and they play that pretty much year round. Do you prefer having kids that are doing a lot of different things athletically around the calendar?
100%. I played three sports when I was in high school. I coach basketball. I coach track too. We want kids to be in multiple sports. You could even get to the scientific part, and different people would say different things about it. I coached college football for about 8 years, and I know when I was coaching, we wanted multi-sport athletes. I know going to different colleges and going to clinics, they say the same thing. They want kids competing, and then they want them to constantly be in that environment where they are competing and not necessarily always doing the same thing. Because if you aren't in multiple sports, you tend to just train, which isn't bad necessarily. But if you're constantly competing, if you're going and playing in a state baseball, playing for a state baseball championship or basketball championship, or competing in the state track meet at Cessna Stadium, I mean, those are all things that are going to make you better football players too.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, like I said, the year one to year two jump is always super important. But for you, you mentioned having some guys that are returning that'll be seniors this year that were big parts of your success a season ago. Could you fill us in on who some of those guys are and who you've looked to be kind of leaders over the summer, and hopefully will continue to lead you this fall?
Yeah, Kai Kirchhoff Jones was a running back for us and also played some safety and linebacker. And he split times with a senior running back we had last year, Keedron Jones, and they were kind of a two-headed monster. So he's gonna be a big part of what we do offensively and defensively. So he's a core leader for us. He shows up to everything. So it'll be great to get him back. Then you got Levi McLaughlin. He just picked up an Illinois State offer and committed to them, which is great for him. And he's gonna be a big piece of our defense. And then he's also gonna play some offense for us this year and see what he can do on offense. He's if you look at his numbers and his measurables, they're really good. Division I worthy good, and that's why he's going to Illinois State. So it's going to be great to have those two. And then, of course, the one that most people who know anything about Roseville right now, everyone's talking about Remington Merlot. He has so many, D1 offers. I couldn't even list them all right now. But all the major ones, Big 12 and the Big 10 ones. So he's going to come back, and he's going to also play both sides of the ball for us on defense, at defensive end, and then offense, whatever you want to call it, tight end, fullback, H-back, and do a lot for us there. And then we just got a bunch of other small pieces, bunch of really solid football players that are coming back for us that are going to do a really good job of doing those small things for us. And then hopefully, the main thing for us is figure out who's going to step up and be our reliable playmaker this year on offense and defense. And that's what we got to figure out.
Well, talking about trying to figure things out and the season being here kind of quicker than you think, being a month out, that's not always a fun spot to be in, but it can be one that kind of gets kids to rise to the occasion, especially when you look at your schedule and who your week one opponent is, and not to bring too much light to them and everything, but it's Andale. And everybody's going to get, excited about playing a team like that. But does that kind of heighten the sense of like, hey, we got to have some guys step up, and we can't wait on it. It's got to happen right away.
Yeah, it definitely does. That first game, it's always something that you can refer to during summer training. If our guys are not showing any urgency, you just remind them, hey, we got Andale coming up on September 4th. Like, let's go.
And it's a challenge and a challenging schedule that you guys will play, every year, being a part of the ABCTL. And I've talked to coaches from different divisions within the ABCTL here lately, but it feels like, from ABCTL 1 all the way down to 4, I mean, there are solid teams all over, and there's never really like an off week. It's always a very good opponent. You always have to bring your A game. In year one for you, what was that like to experience the talent that you're facing, the coaches that you're facing, just great programs every single week?
Yeah, it's not easy. You don't really feel like you can take a week off, or even think about taking a week off. You got to be ready for the next opponent. And then for us, a lot of those are also 4A teams. So they're teams you see in the league, and then you see them again, like we did Wellington in the playoffs. And that could very easily happen, any year. You could be in a situation where you play a team once, and then you might see them a couple weeks later in the playoffs. So then it gets more into somewhere like in the NFL, where you see divisional opponents, and then you might see them in the playoffs too, and have to prepare for all that and get to know those teams better and have a good game plan every time you face them.
Well, looking, with that kind of in mind, does that change how you guys might approach things week to week? Because obviously teams will learn about you as you go. There's film out there. Everybody studies just like you might, but having to see a team potentially a second time is always a challenge, because everybody makes their adjustments and that they'll tweak things. How does that change how you approach, the week to week aspect of preparing for a team? Maybe if it's a second time you've seen them.
Yeah, well, I think it all goes back to talk about being a process-oriented program, and if you're a really good football team, you approach practice and preparation and sleep and hydration and all those things the same each week, and week in and week out, because that carries over and snowballs. So if you see an opponent that's you don't think is as tough on the schedule, but you take a week off, that the snowball effect of not getting enough sleep that week or not studying as much film can catch up to you. So there's that, but then there's also just, if you talk schematically, you got to have layers, offensively and defensively. And the longer you are at a program, you're able to do that too. So being able to have that continuity year after year, having that base knowledge of the offense and defense also helps out a lot too, because then you can throw out one little wrinkle to a play, one little blitz package, change something here or there that the opponent's not used to, and it might help you get an advantage in those times whenever you play opponents more than once.
Again, we're visiting with Reece Petty, head football coach of the Rose Hill Rockets here on 92.3 Preps. Coach, like I've mentioned a few times, you're getting ready for year 2, and you're still kind of in that building stage of the program, right? But you have the foundation laid behind you. What's the next step with this program? What are you looking for out of year 2, outside of, wins and losses and everything? What are you looking for program wise for growth this coming season?
I think just as many kids as possible understanding what it takes to be a team that makes a deep run in the playoffs. Most of these kids, I mean, they're 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. They don't really know. I go back and I think about when I was in high school, I mean, how much did I really know? Now I grew up in liberal Kansas, and we won multiple state championships in the '90s, and I grew up loving football. So it wasn't a second thought to me about any of that stuff, about ever missing a workout, or ever not showing up to anything. My parents scheduled our summer schedule around, being able to participate in everything we could for football and basketball. So just getting that sort of attitude amongst the community, amongst the players, that, hey, when we watch film on Saturday, like, the only reason we're going to miss that is if I'm literally at home throwing up and I can't get up, or there was a death in the family or something crazy happened. I'm going to show up just because I'm tired or maybe a little bit sick or have the snuffles. I'm still going to show up. And in the summer, I'm still going to show up. I'm going to find a way to, whatever summer job I get, I want to make sure my boss knows, hey, this is when we're doing football. So all those little small things of understanding what it takes to win at a high level, I think that's the next step for us as a program.
Well, you mentioned being from liberal, and that's I came down here to Wichita from Salina and covering Salina Central, and that's one thing they always talk about is the battles between Central and liberal, or Salina South and liberal. So with a guy that has that kind of understanding of like high level high school success here in the state of Kansas, what's maybe one of the bigger things you learned from growing up in that environment out in liberal?
Just I think it was sort of that thing of, the coaching that I had, and just seeing the success and seeing the excitement on game day, and what all the community put into Liberal being a good football program, was really awesome. And then even like the head coach at Butler, Coach Warner, he was my coach in high school for my junior and senior year, and just having great coaching. As a high school player and being able to grow up in that, I think that was probably the biggest things. Um, and being able to see how a program is run at a successful program like that, and what all things you have to do behind the scenes to ensure that that happens.
Well, Coach, before we let you go, I always try to wrap up with some fun questions, things that will let our listeners get to know you just a little bit better. But we got the peek behind the curtain there in you being from liberal. But who's maybe your biggest football mentor that you've had?
There's a lot. I mean, if I go back to, from college, I was fortunate to be able to walk on at KU. So Coach Mangino and his son Tommy Mangino were very influential to me as a player, and then I was able to work with them at Iowa State. So that was, that was kind of the foundation of what me seeing as a player, what it took to be successful. And then most recently, I worked with Coach Pfeiffer at May South, and learned a lot about how to run a program and the weight room and the culture you have to have. And he always talks about family. So that was really good. And I've made some random stops. I was at Hayes for a year with Tony Crow, and he seeing how he ran things at Hayes to make sure that kind of we're talking about getting those kids motivated to be in the weight room, and how to be successful. And then they made it all the way to the state championship game in a few years, and they're consistently making runs in the playoffs. And then Coach Appleby at Mill Valley, was there for a year, and lucky to be a part of a state championship there. Just seeing the vast amount of things that he does behind the scenes to make sure it's a program, and everyone's on the same page. All those different guys have just been different pieces of the puzzle, for me to see how things are run at different programs, different levels, different geographic locations.
Yeah.
So it's been very helpful to me.
If you weren't coaching football, what would maybe you do outside of this?
Oh, geez, that's a good question. I originally, when I went to KU, I thought I love golf, so I wanted to be a golf pro. But I found out real quickly, because a couple of my buddies did that too, is you're a golf pro, you actually don't golf very much. You're basically running the clubhouse and running tournaments and serving people hand and foot. So that was something I thought I would enjoy doing. But that's pretty much, where I was then, and decided to get into coaching.
Hey, I love to golf myself. I was on the golf course yesterday, but it's very quickly like understood why I'm not a golf pro. Like I was hitting it all over the place. So
Yeah.
hopefully you'd at least provide me some tips if I ask, because I certainly need them. But I take it that's one of your outside of coaching hobbies then is to golf a lot.
Yeah, me and my buddies, we went up to Kansas City and played a couple courses this weekend. So really enjoy doing that. It's a lot of fun. It's good, just distraction or release from all the stresses of being an educator and a coach that me and my friends like to do.
All right. Well, Coach, one last question for you is, again, getting ready for the 2026 season here in just about a month. What are you the most excited for this season?
I think just seeing the growth, all those things we've talked about, from year one to year two. But we have a really awesome group of seniors this year, and really hoping that they have a successful season. And we talk about, enjoying the high school football experience too. So hopefully that will be something that they can do as seniors, and have a really successful season. And just seeing their growth throughout this year will be the best part, I think.
Awesome, Coach. Really appreciate the time. Thank you so much for checking in with us, and best of luck this season.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for covering us.
Of course. That is Reece Petty, head football coach of the Rose Hill Rockets. We'll take a quick break here on 92.3 Preps and be back with more right after this.
I'm always telling him to shake it off, but sometimes we need professional care. Ow! Ow! Thankfully, I know just the place.
AOA Now is your premier orthopedic immediate care for when you need it most. Our expert team specializes in breaks, sprains, and strains. With our new state-of-the-art facility, we'll have you back in action in no time. Visit AOA Now on web and K96 today for fast, specialized orthopedic care where we keep Kansas in motion.
Welcome back here to 92.3 Preps Today. Brought to you, as always, by our good friends at Advanced Orthopedics Associates, AOA Now. And our first ever, a historic moment in this young podcast, our first media member guest, and that is my good friend, Charles Chaney. I call him Chuck, and you could probably call him the guru of high school sports and statistics, especially. You're the stat guy. I know that much, Chuck. But thank you for joining us and for being kind of a pioneer for media guests to join our show.
I love that. I mean, I like stats, man. I don't know. I come from Oklahoma where like stats are just readily available for everybody. And you get to Kansas where it's like such a secret. Oh no. And most people don't know. I used to keep a Google spreadsheet of every single 11-man team whose offensive and team stats. I'd get up on Saturday morning, Jackson, and I would probably watch 20 games. And I would stat them. It's real easy when you're not doing individual because, like, if it's especially a team who runs the flex bone. So I got a spreadsheet and I'm like, okay, 10, 5, 1, 1. And like on your keyboard, on your computer, it's just like on YouTube, L and J go back 10 seconds. Left and right arrows go back 5 seconds. So I would fly through a game in 5 minutes. I got college game day on. So I'm just vibing really what I was doing. I'm just being a nerd, vibing, enjoying what I do.
Oh.
There's a reason why I got that right there. It's because, I mean, I work hard. So
yeah,
it's fun. But the worst part is huddles shut down the access to that stuff. The coaches have to go in every week. You can't just go in and boop, manually. No, it has to be every week. They have to manually, I believe, go in and publish those. And coaches don't want that. They don't want to keep everything like out in the open. I'm hoping, I don't know if you know about GoBound yet, the new site that everybody's going to.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that it's on there. We see that because like the Sunflower League, like Aquinas and all of them used it last year. I'm hoping we have that now. And so for us as journalists and media, we have that. It's really cool to honor a kid who has 1,000 yards rushing, a kid who has 20 touchdowns. We want to see that. We want to promote that.
Absolutely.
And especially with the new rule that Kansas has that schools can't at kids because it's one-way communication. We are at the forefront of where we need to promote those kids. That's what we're here for. I always say our jobs really are 50% promotion, 40% information, 10% bad news. But like, yeah, that's what we're here for. And I always tell coaches, like, stop hiding it. Like, let's have fun. Let's promote your kids.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to know your perspective on that because of your stat background and how a large part of what your job is to promote those kids, like you said, and to tell their stories and to get the word out to people in the community or to potentially colleges or teams that may want to look at these kids and take them somewhere in the future through their sports. How much more difficult do you feel like this one-way communication with the new cell phone ban that also changes how schools can communicate with communities? How much more difficult is that going to make your job, and how do you kind of plan for that?
I think so. I am a proponent of change. I'm a weird guy. People hate that. Like baseball reference. I love the pitch clock. I love the extra runner and extra innings. Speed it up. Let's go. I have ADHD. Let's keep me engaged. Same thing here. I'm okay with it, but at the same time, like it's my job. I'm a little apprehensive, but I have a really good. So in Butler County, I have a relationship with all my coaches except for one because we have a new coach. But like I have a good relationship with all of them. I can text them. I call them pretty much whatever I want, and they're going to respond to me. And so, because they understand, one, I'm about the kids. Like I said, 50, 40, 10. And so they understand what I'm going to do. And I'm hoping we see some schools like Andover, they're allowing their pages to still go. But I think this is a chance for schools as we progress in social media and online to kind of control the narrative almost. But I look at it as, and I'm going to use them as an example because they didn't have a great football season last year. El Dorado doesn't share a lot of scores. They didn't have really good. I think up until winter, the best team they had was girls basketball, which had a good year. I think they were like 10-10. It was awesome. But are they really going to go out there and share stats and stuff like that? No, they're not going to be promoting that. We're not going to know, hey, Jackson Schneider is our player of the week for the boys basketball team, which the coach used to do. He's like, hey, here's our practice. Here's our hustle kid of the week. That would give me a chance like, hey, maybe I need to write a feature on Dylan Sherwood. Who knows? It's just, I know I'm using generic media names, but
I love it. Sherwood getting a shout out on the pod. I love that.
And he's so excited for the pod, I bet. But it's just, these are things where for me, I think it's going to make it a little harder. I think maybe it's kind of like in other things, it may separate the packs from the people. Like I think some of those generic high school accounts that we have no idea, like, where do you come from? They may struggle a little bit more to get information. But like you and I, good relationships with coaches and stuff like that, we're not going to have any problem. I just think we just got more boots on the ground, and it's kind of my goal this year. Is I'm gonna try to be at more events than I normally am. That's my goal. But I think for some schools, business as usual. But like certain schools, we're going to see less information, I think. But that's where I'm hoping GoBound comes in, man. I already messed around with that. Like there's middle school schedules on there. There's JV. And so it's kind of nice. I mean, I could go on there. I'm hoping they put scores on there. I'm hoping they put stats on there. It would be game changing. And like I said, I like change. I like trying new things because if it sucks, we can always go back and get the way we were.
Yeah, that's my thing. Is this first year is going to be a lot of trial and error with the new system, but I'm sure it'll get better over time, or they'll change it if it needs changed. But one thing that definitely has not changed for you is how closely you follow the Butler County schools, especially in how excited are you for this fall? Because I know there's a lot of exciting stories that are getting ready to kind of launch here with the fall semester quickly approaching. How excited are you for this fall, and what's maybe the biggest story you're looking for maybe with football season? We'll start there.
Yeah, I've got to laugh a little bit though because we talk about like, oh, maybe this will be fine, but we know parents, they're so patient and everything. That's why I was laughing. I was like, parents, they're going to overreact sometimes. But I think it's going to be the year of the running back, Jackson, and Butler County. I mean, we talk about with spread offenses what we do. I counted how many got here? 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 8 running backs who had over 600 yards rushing as juniors. And we got a couple all-state kids. We got like Bo Hall at Flint Hills. I mean, it's an 8-man school. But he was our first and second team all-state 8-man. And he comes back. He's got college offers. And he's a great kid, like the greatest kid. He's like Mr. Chaney. And I'm like, well, come on. I play CFB 27. I'm not a Mr.
Mr. Chaney's my father, you know?
Yeah, exactly. His father was Mr. Chaney. I'm just Chuck or Charles. Come on now. But no, then we got like Kai Kirkship Jones, which was part of like a 3-headed running back race. He still had like 800 yards. P. Vega they run that flex there behind with Coach Cruz at Andover, their quarterback, and then Jason Smith, Darian Schwinn, Jackson Green, who is an unbelievable talent at Andover Central, and he will have plenty of college offers. Axon Vice, 2A Blueston. They turned around they had a bunch of injuries, which towards the end of the year, like he was one of them. And then Carter Green towards ACL. But Carter Green, amazing wrestler, state champion wrestler towards ACL, did not wrestle last year. But there's that many running backs who are just that good. And you got dual threat quarterbacks. Will Quinn, at Easton Shepherd Douglas. Caleb Grunder broke his collarbone second game of the year, but he had like 400 yards rushing already. And then Kane Oss, who's a pitcher, basketball player, just an all-around dog at Douglas. And a guy that most people are going to talk about, but he's got college offers already because El Dorado winless team. I think they lost like 29 in a row. And Daniel Bolin, the quarterback, like Francis offered him a couple other. I think he's going to get more offers. But it's the year of the running back and the running quarterback in Butler County. I mean, I don't think we're going to have like a 2,000-yard passer because the Brody Haskells and everything are gone. We are going to need like these running backs are going to steal the show.
I like that. And
as
an old-fashioned guy, I love teams that run the football and run the football well, and you're kind of getting me excited there. But you mentioned a couple of teams of coaches that I've recently talked with, and last week we visited with Derek Tuttle at Andover Central, and he was very excited about some of the returning production that they had, and especially also considering the success of Andover too. He talked about how exciting it is to have two schools in the same community that could be really, really good this coming fall. So for you, kind of having your fingerprints all over that rivalry, how good is that game going to be? Because it's week 2 this year. It's really early.
Usually it's the end of the year, and it's like this playoff like foundation game. No, I'm excited. I love it. I'm so pumped. Usually it's on another day where there's another county rivalry game, so I've got to sometimes pick and choose. And in the past, Andover Central's dominated that game, so I may not go to that game. I may pass it off to somebody because I'm lucky. I'm one of those papers. I have a couple freelancers I can use. So, but I get to go this year. I'm so excited because it's going to be a knockout, drag-out game. I believe Andover won last year. It's going to be a really good one. What Cruz has brought in there, he's brought this foundation. He's used their athleticism, and that's what I like about the flex phone. It may not be fun for some people, but I think it kind of levels the playing field for a team that may not have like a traditional passing quarterback. And I don't know what you know about Andover. It is, if you're a quarterback in Andover, there is like this juju on the team where there is quarterbacks get injured. I remember my first year I took over in 2019. They had a kid get hurt like 3 different times. He kept trying to come back. And then the next year, their freshman quarterback gets hurt in like the very first game of the season. And then the next year, the quarterback tears the ACL on senior night. It's just like, man, this team is like, it's just bad luck being quarterback, but he's figured a way to put these kids in the right position. And Will Quinn, I watched him when they upset Salina Central on the road, the future state champions. Will Quinn, I think he scored 4 touchdowns, and then like P. Vega had like 180 yards. They use that to level the playing field against a really, really good Salina Central team that won state.
Yeah, that was one of the big like headline wins for any team in the state last year, and I'm sure that kind of will create some momentum for them. I know they fell short in the playoffs, but with all they bring back and the excitement surrounding Andover, they're kind of a sneaky favorite in the ABCTL2 this year, and I'm very curious to see, especially early on, how they match up with Andover Central, because that's another team that could be in that title conversation for that league.
Yeah.
But tell us about some of the smaller schools that may have flown under the radar here lately, because I know there's several that are right there that could take a big step up.
Yeah, there's 10 football playing schools in Butler County. It's crazy. But I already mentioned them. Flint Hills. Flint Hills last year, I believe they made it to sectionals, the round of 16 or quarterfinals, whatever that is. They go up and they play Sylvan Lucas Unified, and they push them. It wasn't until the fourth quarter, I think somebody got hurt, and Sylvan was able to pull away. But they are good. Like, you lose your quarterback first or second game of the year. Other team, I don't like to call teams being dirty, but it looked kind of dirty. It was well after the play, you hit a player, he gets hurt. They're already down a lot. and Flint Hills was up quite a bit. But like you got Bo Hall, Ty Finley stepped in at quarterback. He was a sophomore, and he's like, I'm not a quarterback, but they need me, so I'm going to ball out. And then they go to Dexter and upset Dexter.
Cedarville, right?
Yeah, Cedarville. I want to say Oberlin, but I knew that was way the other way. But because that's Oberlin Decatur is what I was thinking. Anyway, but yeah, they go there. They win on the road. Obviously, Dexter has injuries, but it's still a win. And then so they go there, and it's so cool to watch a program who, when I took this over, it was on like a 30-game losing streak, and pain no mind. But like they got a really good coach who has understood like, hey, I need to put my players in the best position, whether it's run the ball, and he adjusts as they go. Like a couple of years ago, they had a good quarterback who decided not to come back out for football, and they decided, okay, let's adjust. And then Bo Hall transfers in. They move out of the country there in Rosalia, and Bo Hall all of a sudden is like, hey, let's move this offense around our running back. But Coach Castile has done a really good job of building it as around his talent. He doesn't have a set system. It's just, hey, I'm going to play with my best players. And then Blue Stem, same thing. They're historically bad. They and then 2 years ago they win a playoff game, and they didn't win a playoff game. They win. They go to the playoffs. I've never seen a team so excited to play Osage City. They're so excited, and then they score on the first play of the game against Osage City. They lost 70-7, but that's besides the point. But like they understand like the goals and what they're trying to get. Like it's tough. It's tough to win at Blue Sam. You're the smallest 2A school, or you're the largest 1A school. And in reality, they're probably closer to like an 8-man. But they just have to play the cards they're dealt. But like Coach Ethan Baker has those guys believing, and they return a lot of talent. Asen Shepard, Axon Bice, most of that offensive line returns. They're going to be pretty good in the Tri-Valley this year if they can stay healthy.
Again, Chuck Chaney, our guest, the sports editor of the Butler County Times Gazette, here covering high school sports and everything in that area. So I say everything because I told you we got to talk a little Butler Grizzly football too, because I know you got a lot of excitement around that program, and rightfully so. They're one of the traditional powers in JUCO football, especially here in the state of Kansas. Fill us in on the Grizzlies and where they're at as they head into the fall.
Second year head coach Kyle Woodall is taking over. He was an interim last year. And it's funny because he's like, I don't even know if I want to be the head coach, and here he is to year two. Butler is this in this weird. I kind of compare him to Tennessee a little bit, like these or like in Oklahoma, where I'd say more Oklahoma because Oklahoma has a lot of national titles. Butler has the most national titles since 2000 in JUCO football. They're really, really, really young. I believe they only have one or two returning starters on offense, and they have a quarterback that everybody in the area may know, Tate McNew, May South kid. Mm-hmm. He's a dog. They were going to redshirt him last year, but quarterbacks were struggling. They had a bounce-back kid who obviously there's a reason why he's bouncing back, did not play very well. They brought in another quarterback. First play he was in, he throws an interception. And then Tate said, coach looked at him, goes, you good? He goes, I want to play. And so he comes in, he leads Butler to a comeback. I think he only lost one game as a starter or 2 games as a starter for Butler. And one of them was the eventual, Hutch, Butler, or Hutch and Iowa Western. So those are pretty solid losses. So the Grizzlies, they got a quarterback. I mean, they're trying to figure everything out. I watched practice the other day, and I'm going to go out tomorrow. There's a scrimmage. They bring out all the KJCC officials, and they run them through the camp, but I'm going to go there tomorrow, watch. It's going to be interesting. They're a little tight on names, but I think some of it's just the coaches kind of learning names. But there's some kids. They got a kid, a running back, who pancaked his own lineman running the ball. So, I mean, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Caught my attention. But, no, it looks fun. I mean, they got 9 Butler County kids. They're big on – I call them sunflower kids, Kansas kids. They're big on hitting the sunflower kids real hard because – they're one of the teams when the Jayhawk had the unlimited scholarships. I think it's max 50 out-of-staters now. So you can have 35 out-of-staters. But when it was unlimited, they were the ones still hitting Kansas hard. They were doing it like, they're like, can we understand these long-term goals and relationships are going to pay off? And it is. I think them and Hutch are number 1 and number 2.
Well, it's really a cool thing, though, to have schools here locally focus on the local kids. And I know, there's talent all over the place, and you can get kids from all over the country, all over the world. But for local programs here in Kansas to put an emphasis on those sunflower kids, like you said, I think is a big factor for developing a program and for keeping community support as well. Because let's face it, if you're a local team and you've got local kids, fans are going to love that a lot more. People in the community are going to love that a lot more. So that's got to be super exciting for a program that's already got insane fan support.
Yeah, and I think in years past, my whole thing is like, why aren't you recruiting more Butler County kids and redshirt them and see how they develop and grow? And it's a small risk, high reward situation. With the 5-on-5, JUCOs are now, they don't have that extra year to be like, let's redshirt this kid. Because the only way I would think that is a thing if like this kid is an NAIA level talent, because I don't think the NAIA has 5-on-5 yet, 5-for-5 yet. But Division I, I think Division II do. So like if we're going NCAA, those kids, they're only going to be a Butler for 2 years. So you have to maximize what you can right away because there's no more redshirting. And we're seeing that already. Like Brecken Albert at Augusta last year, one of the best wide receivers in the state, had only left 1 or 2 offers. Butler's one. He's going to play. But, like, how much is he going to play compared to what if he was last year, he's redshirting, 100%. But this year, they're going to find a way to get him, whether it's special teams, get some film. Because Butler's one of the few schools where they've sent kids to Division IV, Power 4 schools on practice film alone. So, like, it is imperative that they get these kids reps in, whether it's in practice and games. And that's where I think we may see games like, where Butler play like Jackson Schneider prep, like those fake JUCO schools that you hear about, because it's film. It's film for these kids. We may see more of those games going forward, but it's very interesting in Butler and JUCO because like I don't think people understand like how big that program is for the community. They tailgate, they treat it big time. I mean, the parking lot's full. It's a fun time. It's one of my favorite parts of this job.
I've never caught a game out there, but that's on the list. Now that I'm down here, it's such an easy place to get to. So I think you can book me for a game this fall. I'm going to do my best to get out there for one. But Chuck, before we let you go, just a couple of quick hitters for you. First thing that comes to your mind, okay? The team in Butler County that gets the furthest in the playoffs this year, football-wise, who is it?
Andover Central.
Okay. I like that. So then the one player people aren't talking about yet that they will be in a couple of months, who's that?
That's a tough one. Jason Smith-Circle is a running back. It's another one I didn't mention. Sophomore had 800 yards last year.
Okay. All right. And then the Oklahoma City Thunder. I know you're a big Thunder guy. This year they get to the Western Conference Finals. I got to get your opinion on this one too while I have you. Do they get back to the finals this coming season?
Oh, yeah. Here's the thing. They weren't healthy. Credit Spurs. I'm a rare Thunder fan. I like watching the Spurs. Wimby's so amazing. I like watching talent. Like, while KD going, the Warriors suck. Like, I like watching history. I like saying I watch those Warriors. I worked for Yahoo at the time. I got to cover that Warriors team. That was fun. I was out there. I watched the 3-1 come back in person. The Cavs and the Warriors. But, like, I got to watch the Cavs come back. I saw the LeBron block. I saw all that in person. So, like, it's fun watching history. And I'm also kind of disconnected. Like, while I'm sad they lose, it is what it is. Just a game. But, like, no, I hope so. If they're healthy, I mean, they didn't have Jalen Williams, one of the best 3-and-D players in the league. And he played 28 games last year. And then it's going to be different. You don't have Lou Dort. You don't have Isaiah Joe, who wasn't consistent. You don't have Andrew Wiggins, who was very inconsistent last year. And so it's going to be interesting to see what they do because you have Casey Wallace stepping starting lineup. AJ Mitchell, if he can stay healthy. The Thunder were like 28-2 with him in the lineup last year. And so that says a lot about how good and how important the little Belgian waffle is. That's his nickname. No, I'm just not being mean. But it's imperative that they stay healthy, and that's tough. I mean, then how does Adamara step into the lineup? How does Thomas Sorber, he's coming off an ACL injury. How does he deal? because seriously, they're going to see the Spurs again. It doesn't matter. Spurs are mentally in the Thunderhead. It's very obvious in that series. But I was sitting in Coke Arena watching Game 7 because of the rain delay. I actually went into the bowl. I sat in a desk with the laptop in just watching the Game 7 as much as I can. And it finishing. Thank goodness for the rain and the thunderstorms. But no, I hope we win it. If not, I can say my team won it because there's not that many small market teams that win a world championship. So the fact that one, I am a season ticket holder, so I'm very proud. And two, I got to see my team win a title. And that's amazing. I'm happy. I've seen the Chiefs win. I've seen Oklahoma win. And I've seen the Thunder win. All I need is the Royals. I wasn't a Royals fan when they won a title. I only know pain right now. So, because I don't want to talk about what they're going through right now. But for the most part, I'm very blessed as a sports fan.
Absolutely. I've lived through a lot of pain. But that 2014, 2015 spurt as a Royals fan, it's like carrying me on. It may never get that good again, but at least I had that back in the day. But Chuck, thank you for the time today. Really appreciate you giving us a kind of a preview of Butler County, but tell everybody where they can find your work.
I'm on Twitter. I don't call it the X. It's Twitter. Chuck Chaney, BCTG. Also, I think that's my same tag on Instagram. If you want me on Facebook, just Chuck Chaney, I believe. But no, I like to interact with people, follow me, and we have a good time. And we talk sports, we talk everything.
Awesome. Chuck, thank you again. Really appreciate you joining us, and we'll catch up again soon, all right?
Thanks for having me on.
That's Chuck Chaney, the Butler County Times Gazette. I'm Jackson Schneider. We'll be back with more right after this here on 92.3 Preps.
I'm always telling him to shake it off, but sometimes we need professional care. Ow! Ow! Thankfully, I know just the place.
AOA Now is your premier orthopedic immediate care for when you need it most. Our expert team specializes in breaks, sprains, and strains. With our new state-of-the-art facility, we'll have you back in action in no time. Visit AOA Now on web and K96 today for fast, specialized orthopedic care where we keep Kansas in motion.
Welcome back to 92.3 Preps here on ESPN Wichita. Of course, we are here in our lovely Equity Bank Park studio. Some of you watching, you may notice the backdrop or where I'm recording from will change from time to time. Sometimes I'm in here in our studio. Sometimes I'm upstairs in the Wichita Baseball Museum. And of course, the new home run dugout here. Our great friends at the Wichita Wind Surge, our roommates, if you will, kind of give me free reign to tape the show, wherever, whenever, they've been great with allowing us to get creative and have fun and kind of show off different areas within this stadium. If you haven't gone out to Equity Bank Park lately to catch a Wind Surge game, you're in luck. They're back here at home in Wichita next week, starting on Tuesday. So get down here, come visit us at ESPN Wichita, stay for a baseball game. Great stuff coming from them this fall as the weather starts to cool down a little bit, but it's not quite football season yet. It's a perfect time to catch a Wichita Wind Surge baseball game. Always appreciate those guys here at the Surge for their partnership with us as well. But as we wrap up, again, I want to put the floor, the mic in your direction, our listener. Hit me up. Ask me questions. What are you excited for this year? What are your predictions? Who are teams you're looking out for to make big jumps this year? Some athletes to be on the lookout for. I have a good list of some of those, and I'm kind of getting ready to launch some of those preseason talks into the ether in the near future. But I want you, our listeners, to be involved. Like I said in the open of our show today, hit me up at JetCast Jackson on Twitter. You can fire off comments on our YouTube page when you watch these episodes. You can email me your questions if you've got them at my email address is jschneider@espnwichita.com. But I want you guys to be involved in this show and get your voice out there as well. So again, hit me up with anything you've got in the future. I want you to be a big part of this show as we continue to roll towards the fall semester. Again, Appreciate our two guests today, my buddy Chuck Chaney, the Butler County Times-Gazette, and a new friend in the head football coach of the Rose Hill Rockets in Reece Petty, and enjoyed visiting with him about his team ahead of the season as well. But that is going to wrap up episode 11 of our show. We'll be back next week with some more high school football fall previews, interviews, and some more fun stuff as well. So signing off from here in our ESPN Wichita and Equity Bank Park studios, I'm Jackson Schneider. We'll see you next time on 92.3 Preps.